bitch say 2 seconds. Alright, bet. Okay, I can see. Hey, y'all just bear with me right quick, cause you know it's my first time doing this live shit. Alright, boom. See that? How do I get the chat up in this bit though? I can't even see y'all shit no more. Hold on. Oh. Nah, that ain't it. Hold on. Man, what the fuck? Hey, is this bit lagging? It ain't lagging? Make the tab smaller. No, it ain't. Man, what tab smaller? Hold on. I could have sworn I researched this shit, but I could have sworn it wasn't this. Hold on. How the fuck? Cause I'm trying to get it to where I could, of course y'all get the, hold on. Let me go to this real quick. But just had a chat pop up. I don't know. Make the tab smaller. Good. Shit. Fuck it. We just gonna react to. Hold on. Let me finish rolling up too. We just gonna hop straight to reaction. I'm gonna figure this shit out later. But shit, at least we got this bit live. You know what? YouTube this shit real quick. How to get the chat to pop up. I got to see what y'all talking about. Give me about like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm gonna figure this shit out right quick. 5 minutes. My bad. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do it like this. This is how I'm gonna do it. So I can see the chat. I'm gonna just log into a different account. Boom, just like that. Alright, boom. Alright, yeah, I see y'all now. Alright, hey, don't be in the bitch trying to twirl me now. I know we live, but don't be in the bitch trying to twirl me. Well, y'all funny as hell. Alright, bet we finally get to do these reactions live. Alright, boom, 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 boom. What's good, y'all? We finally doing these reactions live. I'm starting doing all my reactions live. This is my first time. Shit, I'm sweating bullets right now. Nigga nervous. I ain't even gonna catch y'all, boy. Cause I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Shit, if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I'm gonna be a little nervous. But shit, I mean, I know somewhat what I'm doing, but, Alright, bet we lit. Now I don't feel like I'm reacting live. I'm just talking to a fucking camera or just in this bitch talking to my damn self no more. June live, yes sir. We live. I told y'all we turning up for real. We turning up for real, bro. Y'all steady been on my ass. Like, even people in real life, like, just been on my ass. Like, bro, you need to turn that shit up, or you just need to keep going with that shit. So I'm like, bro, let me stop fucking playing. We gonna turn up. We gonna do more than just music reactions around here. We gonna get lit for real. I-95 gang, we getting lit for real. Yo. Shit, hey, I'm from where you reacting to shit crazy and Broward. Yeah, I'm from Temple. Oh, you on a new grind? Yeah, I'm from Temple, so shit, I'm about to be tapping into a lot of shit. Speaking of swamp stories, I just did, I'm gonna drop that bit we live. So I'm gonna drop that bit tomorrow. I did the Birdman one, Surviving Birdman. I'm dropping that bit tomorrow. And then here we go with this one right here. But yeah. Put more people on here. Let people request songs. Oh yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Pretty much the same shit we already been doing. We just doing it live now, and y'all can do live requests instead of, you know what I'm saying? Cause sometimes I be forgetting shit. So now we can just do everything live now. Go to GL 40 show in the O. Go to Glock 40 show in the O. I gotta find time for all that, gang. I ain't even gonna cat to you. HMC Trey. I already know about Trey. The nigga locked right now. See, it's a lot of niggas I know about that I listen to. Like, that y'all be asking me to react to. Like, my favorite nigga out, my favorite dude out right now is Baby Mel. But I can't react to none of his shit because I damn near heard all his shit. Because I be bumping his shit for real. Do you post that? You go live. I just made a post on my whatchamacallit. It was real quick though. I had made a post at it was like 9 o'clock and I was like, I'm going live at 9:30. This is my first time doing live, so all this shit just like raw. Yeah, hell y'all hit, bro. It's a lot of shit I know about. Y'all don't even get like everything with the reactions. But with this live shit, cause the thing with me being live, I be having so many reactions I react to and all kind of shit. Sometimes I don't even put them bitches out. I ain't even gonna cap y'all. With me doing it live, I ain't got no choice. Y'all seeing me do that bit live. So if I fuck around and not put that bitch out, at least you caught that bit live. You get what I'm saying? You fuck with Big Cut 8. I seen his name. I ain't checking none of his shit out though. About that buy. Hell yeah. Hey, but look, I'm almost done rolling up. I'm about to go ahead and start the video. Yeah. Yes, sir. Y'all in the bit active too. Yes, sir. Alright, bet. Let's get to rocking.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this one, we head down to Miami, Florida. Okay, wait. I think I chose the wrong beat. Oh yeah, there we go.
Alright, bet. Bet if you do it on live, you don't have to. Exactly. So people ain't gotta wait. Exactly. Y'all can request shit live.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories.
This live shit gonna be. I've been trying to do this live shit. Cause I wanted to do it on Twitch, but it's just like I gotta learn a whole new platform. I already fucking know YouTube pretty damn good. So I was like, man, let me stop playing. Just do it on YouTube. I've been wanting to do this live shit since back in the big I-95 days on the main channel with Ace. We've been trying to, but it's just like trying to find time to do it and shit like that. Cause like, bro, I do this for fun. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I make some breads, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that too. But this is like a hobby. I work and do all kind. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got a real life, but I come on here, have fun, and you know what I'm saying? Kicking and parlaying and shit like that. So it's like sometimes I don't take this shit as serious as I need to, if you get what I'm saying. But I'm about to start fucking playing, bro. I ain't even gonna cut y'all. I'm about to start fucking playing with this shit and just like, yeah, really pipe this shit up. So yeah.
For this one, we head down to Miami, Florida. Okay, wait. I think I chose the wrong beat. Oh yeah, there we go. Anyways, Miami is by far the most unique part of America, and many people say that when they're there, it feels like a completely different country. And that's because in some ways, it really is. Let me explain. Prior to the 1920s, the entire Miami region was pretty much empty swampland. Then in the 1920s, rich people from the East Coast started buying up land on the coast and building vacation homes. This is pretty much all it was for decades, millionaire hideouts where guys could cheat on their wives with other guys. And I'm not making that up. But then comes the 1960s when Cuba's government is overthrown by communism and hundreds of thousands...
This motherfucker just slipped that shit in there like that? Bro, what?
Pretty much empty swampland. Then in the 1920s, rich people from the East Coast started buying up land on the coast and building vacation homes. This is pretty much all it was for decades, millionaire hideouts where guys could cheat on their wives with other guys. And I'm not making that up. But then comes the 1960s when Cuba's government is overthrown by communism and hundreds of thousands of residents flee the country.
A hushed crowd of Cuban exiles as well as ambulances and medical teams await the arrival of the liberation plane from Havana.
Starting in 1960, 1960, over 500,000 Cubans were able to escape and arrived at the shore of Miami. They came over with absolutely nothing and quickly built their own communities throughout the region. While they certainly wouldn't be the last people to migrate to Miami, as next would be the Jamaicans and the Haitians in the 1970s. And just like the Cubans, the Haitians and Jamaicans would form their own communities and neighborhoods, and so did the Colombians in the 1980s, and the list goes on. Okay, I actually forgot why I brought that up, but I guess the more you know. So sorry for wasting your time on that. And the craziest part is that the video doesn't even take place in Miami. In fact, it all takes place just north in the suburbs of Broward County. Welcome to Broward County, Florida, a county full of suburb after suburb after suburb after suburb. No, seriously, when I say endless suburbs, look at this map. But it's not your typical suburbs. I don't know how to say this, but it's not high class. Like, you know those memes that say Florida man and then it's something absolutely crazy? Those are the kind of people that you'll see in Broward County. Cheap, unfinished tattoos, flip-flops at a restaurant, you know, just ugh. But that being said, Broward...
Hey, cuz, why he going in on Broward like that? Where my boy at? J2, why he... Hold on, what he just said?
Finished tattoos.
Unfinished
it's not high
tattoos.
Class. Like, you know those memes that say Florida man and then it's something absolutely crazy? Those are the kind of people that you'll see in Broward County. Cheap, unfinished tattoos, flip-flops at a restaurant, you know, just...
Brez, what's wrong with flip-flops at a restaurant? What?
Broward County. Cheap, unfinished tattoos, flip-flops at a restaurant.
He tried y'all ass.
But that being said, Broward is actually pretty peaceful and it's a really good place to live. A cheap, suburban, affordable option to Miami. Really nothing to complain about.
Hey, now, he said y'all ass cheap. Let me stop bullshit. Cheap ain't bad, especially when you're talking about living.
A cheap, suburban, affordable option to Miami. Really nothing to complain about. Now, based on the title of the video, you might be confused, like demons in the suburbs that are safe? Something's not adding up. But let me reassure you that just like anywhere, Broward has its hoods too.
You said that funny nigga snapping.
Broward County definitely has hoods too, and believe it or not, despite being surrounded by suburbia, these are some of the worst hoods you could possibly imagine. Demonic spirits, evil practices, lighting your ops on fire.
What the fuck was that? Was that a headless chicken? Headless burnt chicken?
Demonic spirits, evil practices, lighting your ops on fire, and things you've never seen before. In this video, you'll see the extremely dark side of Broward where nothing is off limits and gang members will do anything to take down their rivals. Trust me, this video will absolutely blow your mind, but before we get into it, let me run the intro.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can. First up, let's talk about AI color themes. You can get any combos you want.
Oh shit, I forgot to put that ad blocker on y'all was telling me about. Fuck. Next video.
Trust me, this video will absolutely blow your mind, but before we get into it, let me run the intro. The story begins in the small city of Dania Beach, Florida. It's a small middle-class city of 31,000 people, and like 75% of it is the Fort Lauderdale airport. I kid you not. The city pretty much revolves around the airport, both literally and... what's the other word? I forget. But the point is that Dania grew as a city of immigrant workers who took jobs at the airport, at the Everglades port, and at the refineries right up the street. Just a good old blue-collar city, a much different world than the glitz and glamour of Miami. Basically just a bunch of families trying to uplift themselves from poverty and provide a better life for their children. For the most part, this went pretty well, as many Dania kids went off to college and pursued careers and, you know, took their families to the next level. Overall, Dania was a good place to live, a much better affordable option compared to the ghettos and housing projects.
Ain't that where Psycho Bob from? I heard him say something about that.
It was a good place to live, a much better affordable option compared to the ghettos and housing projects of Carroll City and Miami itself. This is how it was for many, many years, until the late 1990s when Miami's most wicked gang would come infiltrate the neighborhood. In 1990, a Haitian gang known as the Zoe Pound was created by Ali Adam, also known as Zoe. Zoe was born and raised in Haiti's most violent slums and was able to escape and come to Miami in the 1980s. But unlike his peers, Zoe did not come to Miami for a better life. In fact, he was there with nothing but bad intentions on his mind. As soon as he arrived in Miami, he began committing the most brazen robberies Miami had ever seen. At night, he would somehow sneak onto yachts and rob everyone for all of their valuables. For a short while, he did this alone, but then once he built up his crew, the robberies got bigger and bigger. They began hijacking major container ships, robbing everything on board, and killing anyone that saw them.
These niggas was doing real live GTA heist. This shit right here, this shit need to be made a movie about. I remember hearing about that shit. These motherfuckers robbing, you know what I'm saying? Doing heist on ships and shit. I'm like, bro, this is them niggas kind of lit. And respectable because it's not like they killing they next door, you know what I'm saying? They next door neighbors and shit like that. They, you know what I'm saying? They ops one block over and shit like that. These niggas they doing big shit. You know what I'm saying?
Began hijacking major container ships, robbing everything on board, and killing anyone that saw them do it. Basically, from here, he turned his robbery crew into a gang and started expanding by recruiting new members from Haitian descent. The Zoe Pound started taking over neighborhoods one block at a time by threatening families and basically making everyone so scared of them that they'd never tell on them.
Well, I'll take that back. Terrorizing your own neighborhood, never good.
By threatening families and basically making everyone so scared of them that they'd never tell on them. Because of this, the gang spread like a wildfire throughout the Miami streets, taking over drug territories and racking in millions of dollars. Long story short, they became the most feared gang that Miami had ever seen, so much so that Miami police refused to try and arrest them and would rather call the FBI to go and handle it. Well, after taking over most of Miami, it was only a matter of time before they expanded up to Broward County. Sadly, in 1999, they arrived in Dania Beach. In particular, they targeted a neighborhood right below the airport, and they did this for two reasons. Number one is the proximity to the port, meaning that they had easy access to shipments to rob. And secondly, because the neighborhood had a large Haitian population. So unfortunately, Zoe Pound took over the hood with ease, and many youths were corrupted into vicious gang life. This was bad news for the community, as illegal money flooded the streets, Zoe Pound members were posting up on corners, and violent crime rates started to appear. The bottom line is that the neighborhood turned into a Zoe Pound powerhouse and things would start to get ugly. Well, coincidentally, during this time, many families from the Deep South started to move to Dania for better opportunities. And the sons from two of these families are the main topic of the video, so after all...
Oh my god.
For better opportunities. And the sons from two...
Yeah, whatever Kodak on site put them on to that shit, bro.
Many families from the Deep South started to move to Dania for better opportunities. And the sons from two of these families are the main topic of the video. So after all that yapping, here we are. First, we have the Slade family of Dothan, Alabama, and second, we have the Smart family of Jacksonville, Florida. Long story short, both of these families moved to this Dania neighborhood thinking that it was a breath of fresh air and a good environment to raise their kids, obviously. Well, little did they know, but now let's introduce the kids. Well, first we have Derek Slade, who was raised in a small house on 12th Avenue. And second, we have Cambrel Smart, who was raised in a small apartment on 5th Street. Derek and Cambrel grew up as best friends as they went to school together since day one. And unfortunately, maybe due to their surrounding neighborhood, these two were wild kids, known for getting suspended for fighting, stealing, just pure chaos coming from this duo. They were simply just causing havoc in the neighborhood for no reason. Now, typically, teenagers like these in this neighborhood would grow up to be Zoe Pound members, but I think because they're not Haitian, neither of these guys joined the crew. Instead, they were just running their own program, trying to run up a bunch of money in the streets. For them, this meant hitting licks and moving weight, even at just 12 years old. In fact, at this age in 2007, this is when Cambrel would be arrested for the first time.
I caught my first charge, delivery of at 13, 12 or 13. When I caught the charge, I was playing football. That's when I was playing for Danny Bulldogs. I was walking to practice, and that's when the Raiders jumped out and grabbed me. You feel me? I'm like, what they grab me for? I got football clothes on. Feel me? I'm a jet. So I'm like, what they grab me for? Whole time they got pictures of me serving, you feel me?
God
Running
damn.
up the cars.
It may sound crazy, but Camber was moving some serious weight at such a young age, and because of this, he would get some real time in juvenile hall. Now, as we know, juvenile hall is meant for rehabilitation, but in reality, it's the exact opposite. Cause as soon as Camber went to juvenile, he was instantly known for causing havoc again and starting all kinds of shit. And this is how he earned the nickname of Psycho Bob, cause you know, everyone thought that he was psycho. But even though he was in there doing all kinds of fighting, being in juvenile hall may have actually saved his life. And even if it didn't save his life, it definitely saved him from doing the unthinkable. Why I say this? Well, because while he was locked away, his best friend Derek was out in the streets doing the wildest things possible.
Jumping off that porch for real.
It's now the year 2008, and after Psycho Bob's arrest, Derek Slade was left in the streets without his bestie. But just because he no longer had his partner in crime does not mean that his life of crime stopped at all. In fact, it only got worse, and that's because he started hanging with an older homie in the hood. This would be a 17-year-old named Terry Moore, and despite being just 17 years old, he was already known for So unfortunately, an already wild and impressionable Derek now had a horrible influence. Sadly, he began toting and thinking that it's okay to bust on somebody just because— Whoa, pause. But you get the point. So while just a freshman at South Broward High School, Derek was walking around like the big man on campus. I'm really like that, nobody can tell me nothing, and if you step to me, I will do something vicious to you. And the case is sealed, so I can't really get into details, but Derek does something crazy. Allegedly, an older classmate doesn't like the way that Derek is walking around acting tough, so he tries him, and then after school, you know, Derek does what he does. Thankfully though, Derek pulled a Ben Simmons and everyone was okay. But either way, instantly he would be caught.
He said he missed that motherfucker. Hey, not a Ben. What is that, bro? That shit crazy. Not a Ben Simmons. Hey, I can do this shit now. Hey, chat. Bro, I've been wanting to do that shit. Hey, chat. Not a Ben. Chat.
Acting tough, so he tries him, and then after school, you know, Derek does what he does. Thankfully though, Derek pulled a Ben Simmons and everyone was okay. But either way, instantly he would be caught and word would start spreading around town. Derek Slade was becoming known as a crash hound, and because of this, he started being known as Soulja. I guess Soulja was let off easy, cause just a year later, he was back roaming the streets. Soulja and Terry running around Broward doing whatever they want. This was bad news, and even though they weren't gang affiliated and didn't have ops, them being out and about was a danger to every community. And that takes us to November 5th, 2009. It's a regular Thursday night in Dania Beach, and a man named Antonio Brown is at his grandma's house on 7th Street. Well, from what the rumors say, Antonio may have done a little business with Soulja and Terry in the past and may have owed them a couple of dollars. But to this point, Antonio thought that they were all cool, like we're all from the same hood just blocks away from each other. But little does
Let me run that back, because I hate niggas with this mindset.
with Soulja and Terry in the past and may have owed them a couple of dollars. You may have done a little business with Soulja and Terry in the past and may have owed them a couple of dollars. But to this point, Antonio thought that they were all cool, like we're all from the same hood just blocks away from each other.
The fuck is that supposed to mean? Why the fuck do niggas think you can do bad business and then come back around like shit cool? Bro, I swear motherfuckers be having the nerve sometime, bro. Bro, I swear to God, niggas be having the fucking nerve sometime.
Business with Soulja and Terry in the past and may have owed them a couple of dollars. But to this point, Antonio thought that they were all cool, like we're all from the same hood just blocks away from each other. But little does he know, Terry and Soulja think they're the mafia and they want to prove a point. So at 8:30 p.m., the dangerous duo meet up and they walk down to Antonio's house. They knock on the door like any other day, and a family member of Antonio opens up and lets them in. They then walk through the house looking for Antonio, and that's when they spot him sitting in the backyard. Tragically, this is when they make a horrible decision.
Damn.
After doing this horrible act, they try to run away, but are eventually caught by police later in the night. From what people in Dania say, Antonio was known as a really solid dude. Like, he may not have been perfect like no one is, but he definitely did not deserve what happened to him. Either way, what they did was an evil decision, a decision they have to live with for the rest of their lives. The courts would prosecute them, but in my opinion, just simply not enough. According to records, Terry got 6 years with 5 years probation, and for Soulja, well, he would get the maximum juvenile sentence to be released on his 21st birthday. I don't know if I consider this justice, but at least they got some kind of punishment. But unfortunately, this meant that Soulja was now reunited with his best friend, him and Psycho Bob in juvenile hall.
Oh, hell nah.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete...
Hey, we're back together. Look where we are now.
Now, like I said before, juvenile hall is supposed to rehabilitate, but we know that doesn't really happen. So the entire time that they were in there, they were fighting, politicking, and kind of going down the path of this is going to be my adult life. Upon their respective releases, they both decided to join a gang. This would be a small but vicious clique in their neighborhood known as On-Site, started by a man named On-Site Eno. And for whatever reason, Eno took a special liking to Soulja, really took him under his wing. Now this is bad news, because Eno is one of the worst gang members probably Dania has ever seen. In fact, he was once arrested for killing his best friend and fellow On-Site member over a girl, and then he ended up beating it, but then they tried to kill him. The point is that he's just a wild dude. And this is who Soulja began running with in the streets. This was obviously a horrible combination, and everyone knew it, even his best friend Psycho. The bottom line is that Psycho was not trying to crash out, so he kind of distanced himself and it's like, I'm still your friend, but stay over there with that shit. This would end up being a really smart decision, because as soon as Soulja got home, he began reaping havoc on the streets of Broward. So now we fast forward to the fall of 2015. It's the fall of 2015 and Soulja is finally home. And unlike Psycho, who had previously come home on some chill shit, Soulja, he was home tripping.
Like, man, what is Soulja on, bruh? He's tweaking. He just got out and he's already trying to go back in? What is he thinking? Bruh, let's fall back. He's either gonna get one of us hurt or he's gonna get us in jail. Let him do his own thing.
So everyone around Soulja thankfully made the smart decision to fall back and let him do his own crashing out. Tragically, Soulja decides to go on one of the deadliest streaks in Florida history for no reason at all. And it would all begin on November 3rd, 2015. It's 4:30 p.m. and Soulja borrows a family member's car, takes off the license plates, and begins roaming around. He drives all around Broward looking for house licks and waiting for the perfect opportunity. Then as he's making his way through Dania, something catches his eye. You may be thinking that he sees a big mansion with the front door open, but that's not the case at all. Instead, he's deep in the trenches and has his eyes set on a project building on the corner of 51st Street. So at 5 p.m. he double parks his car across the street, hops out, and begins walking up to the project. He approaches the door, tries to unlock it, and oh my goodness, it's already unlocked. So he walks in looking for items, and boom, right there's a man sitting on the couch. The man who's spooked jumps up instantly, and sadly, this is when Soulja makes a tragic decision. Another innocent life gone at the hands of Derek Soulja Slade. Well, somehow Slade was able to run back to his car and get away from police without being noticed. Now, you'd think that after committing such a heinous act, you'd want to lay low and duck police, right? And forget any moral reasons, because he obviously didn't learn his lesson the first time. But how about ducking low from police? You just got out of juvenile hall and you're now an adult, so if they catch you for this, you're done. But no. Soulja didn't see it this way. In fact, in a twisted way, he saw it as an opportunity. Like, I failed the first lick, now I gotta go try again and succeed. So just the next day, in the same exact car, Soulja gets right back in the field. November 4th, 2015. It's a typical Friday night in Broward, and a man named Donald Johnston is at home with his friends and family. Boom! That's when somebody kicks down their door and runs inside. So of course, Donald and his friends jump up scared, and sadly, this is when Soulja makes a horrible, tragic decision. He begins unleashing on everyone in the room. After doing this, he quickly runs back to his car and drives away. Thankfully, 4 people would survive after being rushed to the hospital. However, Donald Johnston would lose his life. This was a major loss in Broward.
Cause this is what I'm trying to get. Why is he going? I don't think he's just going. He can't be just going in random people's spots. He probably got to know something about these people in these spots or something he's looking for. It seems like. I don't know, because this This if that's not the case, this sounds like some serial killer type shit. And like, I don't really know niggas to be on no tight time like that. This man out his mind. He shot what, all 5 of their? Only one died. 4 survived. Bro had some work ethic. Boy, y'all funny as hell. Just crashing out. I'm trying to tell you. He said bro had
Donald's father
he
was
said bro had some work ethic. Yo.
Dale police officer, and his mom was a Broward County sheriff. This was unbelievably tragic, and police were determined to get justice for the family. However, for the meantime, Soldier actually covered his tracks pretty well, at least well enough to continue being out and committing horrible crimes. Yes, even after this, Soldier would still not change his lifestyle. That fast forwards us exactly 3 weeks, November 25th, 2015. It's the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and Derek Slade is not in a thankful mood. Instead, he has plans to do the opposite and to go take something.
He said he's not in a thankful mood, bro.
5th, 2015. It's the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and Derek Slade is not in a thankful mood. Instead, he has plans to do the opposite and to go take something, which actually personifies Thanksgiving more accurately. I shouldn't say that though. Well, this time he stays away from his previous targeted areas and heads up to Hollywood, Florida. In fact, he targets a specific person that he actually knows, somebody that's known for flexing on the gram, a man who I won't name, but after seeing him flex on Instagram, Slade gets an idea to go rob him, and he knows exactly where he lives. So at 9 p.m. he drives over to Hollywood by himself with 2 choppers. At 9:15 he arrives to the 2300 block of Mayo Street and walks up to the targeted house. With 1 chopper tucked on his waist and 1 around his shoulder, he kicks down the door and jumps in the house. After making it through the house, he realizes that nobody's home, so he opens up a bag and begins filling up items. However, he's not exactly finding what he was looking for. He really wants the expensive items that he saw on Instagram. So he then scuffles through the man's closet, and finally he finds the watches. These watches are obviously faker than a white Jamaican, but whatever. The bottom line is that he grabs the watches, but little does he know, this is when the man comes home. He sees that his front door is kicked down, so he instantly runs inside looking to see what's going on. That's when he runs into Soldier in his room, and sadly, Soldier makes a tragic decision. Now again, after committing such a heinous act, you'd think that Soldier would want to lay low and stay off the net. But nope, instead he posts a picture on Instagram of the watches that he just stole.
Man, what the hell?
At this point, he pretty much wants to go to jail for life, but thankfully,
talk about crashing out. Was he on a mission to go to jail?
now again, after committing such a heinous act, you'd think the Soldier would want to lay low and stay off the net. But nope, instead he posts a picture on Instagram of the watches that he just stole.
Man, what the hell?
At this point, he pretty much wants to go to jail for life, but thankfully, Broward County would... Well, not thankfully, but thankfully for him, Broward County police would not figure anything out, at least for the meantime. So sadly, Soldier was still on the streets living his wild old lifestyle. He committed 3 senseless murders in a month and still didn't even think to slow down. This guy's easily one of the worst people I've ever covered, but for the meantime, let's focus back on Psycho. Bye bye Soldier and hello Psycho, cause the rest of the video will be focused on you. It's now the year 2016 and Psycho Bob is now 21 years old. And while his best friend has been crashing out bad, he's been in the hood hustling and hanging out with the homies. So not exactly the perfect path, but at least he's not being violent. However, within the next year, a war would start brewing in Broward, with multiple hoods beefing with multiple hoods.
Literally so much beef and so many bodies that I could make like 7 separate videos on this.
But to keep this story simple, I'm going to introduce what caused the beef and then basically keep it centered on Psycho Bob, because he is a very important part. So now let's start with the beginning of the beef in Broward. Everything began in the small city of Hollywood, Florida, but more specifically a hood known as Zone 10. Zone 10 is a newer small hood headed by rappers like Wiz the Wizard, Wham Spin and Bin, and Z10 Blood. And these dudes, despite being from a smaller clique and having silly names, are actually absolute savages. Zero respect and absolutely no limits on what they'll do to a rival, just pure evil coming out of Zone 10. And during this time, these dudes thought that they were the bullies of the area. I mean, they were getting money, taking people's girls, and like waiting for somebody to try them. Basically, they felt untouchable, like they were too hard for the streets of Broward, and unfortunately, this wouldn't go well. Their brash, dismissive attitude definitely pissed some people off, and sadly, it would result in a tragedy.
Wham, bro, that shit crazy. Whiz, wham, dog.
Dismissive attitude definitely pissed some people off, and sadly, it would result in a tragedy. October 17th, 2016. It's a regular Monday evening in Zone 10 and some youngins are outside. These would be 19-year-old Wajib Williams, also known as Jib, and 18-year-old DeAndre Greer, also known as Bankhead, and they're posted up on the block. Jib and Bankhead themselves are not necessarily hated, but Jib's older brother is Wiz the Wizard, possibly the most hated man in Broward. So unfortunately, because some people hate his brother, Jib himself is a target by association. Well, as he and Bankhead are posted up on the block, they have no clue that some angry rivals are spinning looking to send a message. At 8 p.m., a man in a tinted Dodge Charger is spinning around looking for Wiz the Wizard himself. He circles around the hood multiple times, but he doesn't see anyone outside. But then as he turns onto the 700 block of 7th Avenue, he spots Jib and Bankhead posted up in front of their projects. He spots Jib and instantly recognizes him as Wiz's younger brother, so instantly he stops the car and a man hops out. Tragically, the man starts dumping on the duo. Thankfully, Bankhead would survive after surgery, but either way, the loss of Jib was a major blow. Zone 10 saw this as a declaration of war, and none more than Wiz the Wizard. You smoked my little brother because you don't like me? Nah bruh, f*** everything. No more talking, let's just go to war.
But wait, there is actually some talking.
Cause as soon as police visited Bankhead in the hospital, he began telling them everything that they wanted to hear. He identified exactly who popped him and Jib, and he told the police exactly which car they were in. Now before you start calling him whatever you want to call him, just understand the situation. He just lost his best friend and he's recovering in the hospital. You would have told too, I don't care what you say. So yeah, just like that, days later Jib's killer would be arrested.
Bye, buddy.
But just because Jib's actual killer was arrested did not mean that there wouldn't be revenge. So regardless, all of Zone 10 would suit up and wage war on whoever did this. Now this is how the story finally revolves back to Psycho Bob.
He smoked Jib?
No. Quite the opposite actually. Basically, when the war broke out between Zone 10 and who I'm about to tell you about, everyone was forced to take a side. And that introduces us to the people who allegedly claimed the life of Jib. Welcome to Liberia, by far the most dangerous hood in South Florida.
Damn, so apparently they got Jib and they fucked around and got Wiz, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know if I'm right or wrong on that one. I think.
Place has a history of wicked steppers longer than Serge Ibaka and gray sweatpants. No, for real. In all seriousness, Liberia is like a mini New Orleans, and for this generation, they're represented by a clique called HMT. And if you're wondering what that means, it stands for Hit My Target, and that should tell you everything that you need to know. They're represented by the rappers HMT Trey, Liberia Sig, Zelly, and Lil Hatch, and let me just tell you that these guys have no cap in their raps. Well, whether it's true or not, this is the hood that was rumored to be responsible for Jib and Bankhead. Basically, Liberia were the bullies of Broward for many years, and then came, Zone 10 thinking they're the shit, and that's why Liberia allegedly targeted them. So just like that, the big bullies go to war, Liberia versus Zone 10. But Liberia wasn't satisfied with just that. In fact, they wanted everyone to choose a side. You're either with us or you're with them.
Bro, y'all hear this fucking instrumental? Y'all been hearing these instrumentals? God damn, this shit like a movie, a music video.
They're the
music video.
That's why Liberia allegedly targeted them. So just like that, the big bullies go to war, Liberia versus Zone 10. But Liberia wasn't satisfied with just that. In fact, they wanted everyone to choose a side. You're either with us or you're with them. There's no straddling the fence. So this is when Psycho Bob and his hood come into the picture. Psycho's hood is known as the Nightmares, and many of their guys have a close relationship with Zone 10. So basically for Psycho and his hood, clicking up with Zone 10 was a no-brainer, despite Liberia being just right below them. In fact, together Zone 10 and the Nightmares would form an alliance known as MM, more money, more motion, and more murder. Ooh, this was a big deal. So now that you understand the sides, let's dive into the action.
Shit. Hold up, my bad. Let me go back real quick.
Picture. Psycho's hood is known as the one to choose a side. You're either with Liberia wasn't satisfied with just that. In fact, they wanted everyone to choose a side. You're either with us or you're with them. There's no straddling the fence.
Damn.
So this is when Psycho Bob and his hood come into the picture. Psycho's hood is known as the Nightmares, and many of their guys have a close relationship with Zone 10. So basically for Psycho and his hood, clicking up with Zone 10 was a no-brainer, despite Liberia being just right below them. In fact, together Zone 10 and the Nightmares would form an alliance known as MM, more money, more motion, and more murder. Ooh, this was a big deal. So now that you understand the sides, let's dive into the action. When the Nightmares decided to click up with Zone 10, Liberia was pissed, and given the fact that they're right next to each other, this was bad news for the Nightmares. So quickly, Psycho Bob would learn about Liberia's savage ways. July 18th, 2017. It's a Tuesday afternoon in Dania, and Psycho Bob is chilling at his neighborhood store with his friend named Brad. He's munching on pork rinds while knocking down a mountain. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, I just made that up. But he's outside on the block when a tinted up car slowly rolls by. He's not paying attention, and this is when the car creeps up and rolls down their window. Out of nowhere, shots start flying and Psycho and Brad start running. They disperse into the neighborhood, and thankfully both of them are untouched. But either way, this was a message sent and a message received. Liberia was trying to scare them, but little did they know, Psycho ain't scared of shit. All this did is wake up two beasts, as instantly Psycho and Brat strap up and get to going. And that fast forwards us 4 days, July 22nd, 2017. It's a Friday night in Broward, and there's a major house party planned for later in the night. Now you'd think that after declaring war on Psycho and Brat, you'd want to lay low and stay out of the mix. But for whatever reason, the Liberia members who did this were not worried about them at all. Like, we're the big dogs, we do whatever we want. So not only do they go to the party, but they also record themselves on social media and post it. It's 2 in the morning and the house party is so jumping that it turns into a block party. Wigs, wicks, twerking, my kind of party. Yeah. Well, as soon as Psycho and Brat see this on social media, they instantly get ready. They grab 2 choppers, hop in Brat's car, and head out to the party in West Park. At 2:30, they arrive to the party as they park on 48th and begin walking. 2 dudes open carrying choppers making their way to the house party, alarming everyone around. They're scaring the hoes as they're making their way through the street, everyone is quietly scattering around. Then when they make it to the front of the house, that's when they see their Liberia rivals. So instantly Psycho and Brat start letting off. After emptying their clips, they make the smart decision to sprint back to their car and to drive away. Thankfully, the Liberia HMT guys were okay, but still, this was a major move in Broward. This confirmed the new war. We're not scared of you and we'll pull up on you anywhere you are, at a party, literally anywhere. But thankfully this would have to pause as, you know,
Brat and Psycho jumped out with no masks in front of hundreds of people. So in typical Florida fashion, everyone told on them.
So now Psycho is extra mad, like, you popped me.
Bro.
Fashion, everyone
Post a Richard picture right now.
masks in front of hundreds of people. So in typical Florida fashion, everyone told on them.
So now Psycho is extra mad, like, you pop me for no reason, then I slide back and you snitch on me? What are we even doing? Alright, bet. Just wait till I come home. It won't be pretty. Home? What do you mean come home? He just shot somebody in front of like 30,000 people. But remember that Psycho doesn't have an adult criminal record, so the judge can definitely be lenient and give him a second chance. And this is exactly what happens as Psycho successfully convinces the judge that he'll come home and completely change his life around. So as a result, he's gifted a 5-year sentence with parole after 3, truly getting off easy. So it's now late 2017 and Psycho was sent to prison for 3 years. But Actually, when he's in prison, he is given an opportunity to truly change his life forever. How, you might be wondering? Well,
a judge sentenced South Florida rapper Kodak Black to 4 years in prison on federal weapons charges.
Broward's most famous rapper ever hits the prison yard at the same exact time as Psycho Bob. And because Kodak is ZMF and most of Psycho's hood is ZMF, they began running together in prison. This is when Kodak learns that Psycho's an upcoming rapper and that he's also a wicked stepper. Now let me just preface by saying that being a celebrity in prison is rough. Like, most celebrities will never hit the yard, they're sent straight to PC. It's really just too dangerous of an environment for a celebrity to be. It's almost like a liability to the prison. But Kodak being a big dog in the streets, he's not going to PC, and given this, he needs some muscle behind him. And for all intents and purposes, Psycho Bob is a big part of the muscle. So during his prison stay, Psycho Bob has his back, and as a result, he makes him a major promise. When you get out of prison, I'll sign you to my label and I'll jumpstart your career. Now this would be a major life-changing opportunity, and we'll see if it happens. But in the meantime, we focus back on our original main character of the episode. This of course would be our beloved Soldier, and unfortunately this is not good news. Or it is, depending on how you look at it. Well, finally, Soldier's wicked violent past will catch up with him.
The U.S. Attorney says 3 violent criminals are off the street tonight behind bars after years of terrorizing Broward County. These 2 men are alleged members of a violent gang called Onsite. Court documents obtained by NBC6 say the Onsite gang lived up to its name to, quote, reflect the willingness of enterprise members to commit acts of extreme violence, including murder, without hesitation. 28-year-old Eric Hunter, a.k.a. E, and 27-year-old Derek Slade, a.k.a. D, arraigned today in federal court. Hunter is the alleged leader who planned, organized, and supervised the gang's criminal activity. Slade and a third person arraigned earlier this month are alleged to carry out the crimes. The indictment says the criminals, quote, engaged in multiple acts of violence to intimidate victims and reduce likelihood of resistance, engaged in drive-by shootings to engender fear, and while incarcerated, maintained contact with others to achieve the goals of the enterprise.
Damn. Bye-bye, Soldier. The childhood best friends are now reunited, again behind bars.
God damn.
Soldier gets a double life sentence, so he's gone forever. And if you can remember Psycho's other childhood best friend named Brat, well, he was in the on-site indictment as well, so he probably would have gotten life, except that he passed away before he could be arrested. Well, now the year is 2020, and Psycho Bob is finally released from prison. And as we know, Kodak promised to sign him to Sniper Gang and boost his rap career. But Kodak is still locked up, with no telling on when he'll be released. So for now, the music career talks are not a reality for Psycho. But what is a reality is the fact that both of his best friends and partners in crime will never be back. Soldier gone to the system, and Brat no longer with us. And on top of no longer having his boys with them, a whole vicious hood wants to kill him. Life is not going so well for Psycho upon his release. So basically, Psycho says, F everything, I don't care anymore, I just want to go to war. If I end up in prison or in the grave, I simply do not care. Let's just bang it out. And that takes us to September 19th, 2020. It's a late Saturday night in Liberia, and a 19-year-old named Janavis Lewis is walking home. Janavis happens to be Liberia Sig's best friend and associated with some HMT members, but really he has nothing to do with the streets. He's really just born and raised in the neighborhood and grew up with all the gang members. Well, it's 11:15 as Janavis is walking in front of the New Hope Baptist Church. Unfortunately, as he's walking down the street, a tinted up Nissan happens to be spinning around the block looking for HMT members. The man in the car recognizes Janavis from pictures with Liberia Sig, so instantly he thinks he's a member. Sadly, the man lowers down his window and makes a tragic decision. Bam. Damn. This was a tragedy for all of Liberia, but none more than Liberia Sig, as this was really his best childhood friend. He played football, stayed out of the beef, and really tried to make it out, so this one really hit different. Liberia Sig was pissed, like, oh, we're targeting civilians now? Nobodies? Okay, watch this. October 15th, 2020. It's your average Thursday afternoon in Dania Beach as Psycho Bob's mom is chilling on her front porch. Obviously her son has major beef, but as far as her, she has nothing to do with it. However, after a month of searching for Psycho for revenge and not finding him, they result to hitting somebody closest to him. You took my best friend for no reason, well I'm gonna take somebody close to you for no reason as well. So after doing some research, Liberia Sig finds out where his mom lives and he wants to make a statement. At 5 p.m., Sig arrives in front of Psycho Bob's childhood home, and right there is his mom named Dorothy Smart. Sadly, this is when Sig simply whips out and makes a terrible decision. Thankfully, she would be okay after surgery, but my goodness, would this elevate the beef to a whole new level. A level that I have truly never seen before in my 4 years of making videos. Like now after this, absolutely nothing in the beef is off limits. Like if we're targeting moms, who else would be off limits? Ugh. Sadly, Liberia Sig would set a horrible trend going forward in Broward, as, well, you'll see. Now let's think about Psycho Bob. Like,
For real,
can you
not
even
my
imagine?
dude.
You're trying to kill my mom? What the fuck are we even doing? And on top of all the anger and disgust towards the rivals, you also kind of have to internalize how you could have potentially put your mom in this situation. Because if you weren't in this vicious beef and you weren't targeting people from their side who had nothing to do with it, you could only assume that they wouldn't have done this to your mom. Not to say it excuses it, but I guess it explains it. Well, as you would imagine, this would be the lowest point in Psycho Bob's life. Like, wow, they really did this to my mom. But crazy enough, his life would turn around for the better directly after this. Now we fast forward to January 20th, 2021, when Donald Trump makes a shocking decision in his last day in office.
And new this morning, ahead of leaving the White House, President Trump has issued his final list of presidential pardons and commutations. Other notable names on the list include rappers Lil Wayne and Kodak Black.
Kodak makes his shocking return home, and now the big question is, does he come through with his promises to Psycho? And the answer is yes, and even more. Not only does he sign Psycho Bob to Sniper Gang, but he also signs his friends Wiz the Wizard and Wham Spin a Bin. Now, most of us watching this are like, wow, this seems like a pretty cool thing to do. But in the streets of Broward, this was not a good decision. Well, actually, it wasn't a bad decision, but what it did was involve Kodak in a war that he had nothing to do with. Unfortunately, the streets of Broward took this as Kodak choosing his side of the war. Like, oh, you're with them now? But in reality, it probably wasn't that. He probably was just genuinely helping rappers who helped him out when he was in prison. That was it. But unfortunately, the streets would not see it this way, as this would only amplify the beef even more. And what made it even worse was pure jealousy, because Psycho Bob, Wham, and Wiz, their careers would instantly go up. On top of this, Kodak would release a song called Nightmares as he's walking through Psycho Bob's hood with a mask on. So obviously, with Psycho's hood being known as the Nightmares, the Liberia rivals saw this and were like, oh, you're naming songs after their hood and then walking through their hood in the music video?
Damn.
Sounds like you're taunting and you're definitely choosing a side.
Damn.
So all intentions aside, this is now how it was. Liberia versus Zone 10, the Nightmares, and Sniper Gang. So now with all the elevated careers and fame, let's focus back on the beef. After Liberia made the bold decision to target Psycho Bob's mom, the entire MM collective were pissed. Pissed enough to seek revenge in the worst way possible. Now we introduce you to HMT Trey's mom, a respected woman named Misty Hopkins. Now, despite her son being knee-deep in the street life, Misty herself has nothing to do with this. Instead, she's actually an entrepreneur who owns a laser removal and waxing company in Miami Gardens. But sadly, because of her son's shenanigans in the streets, well, you'll see. March 29th, 2021. It's an early Monday afternoon and Misty Hopkins is opening her shop for the day. Her employees haven't arrived yet, so it's just her opening up her shop and getting everything together. Alone tidying up the shop while on FaceTime with her best friend. Then as she's sweeping, a random man quietly walks in her store. This would be a man named James Hardwick, who you can actually see in Wiz the Wizard's music video just weeks prior. Well, James walks right up to Misty as she looks up and gets startled.
Oh, you scared me. Who are you and what are you here for?
And without responding or making a sound, James Hardwick simply whips out and makes a tragic decision.
No.
Her friend on the phone hears the boom and instantly she calls 911 for help. So 10 minutes later, police arrive, but sadly, it's far too late.
Here, a deadly shooting in Miami Gardens. At least one person killed here, and no word on any arrests. Let's get right out to Local 10's Syra Onwer.
She's live on the scene with an update. Syra.
So right now I can tell you it's a woman. She's the victim of this shooting that happened here at the Clearview Center in Miami Gardens. You can see there are a number of businesses within this complex. So right now it's unclear if this woman was working or visiting. A woman collapses in grief in front of officers after a shooting around 12:30 at the Clearview Center in Miami Gardens.
This was the ultimate evil act, as Misty Hopkins was a good woman who had nothing to do with the streets. The community was absolutely devastated, but none more than her son HMT Trey. To lose your innocent mom to the rivals, I can't even imagine the feeling. But also, given that Liberia Sig had targeted Psycho Bob's mom, it's almost like HMT Trey should have known this could happen. It's like you guys targeted his mom and now he goes and gets revenge. As horrible and unforgivable as it is, you guys did start this. And because of this logic, everyone believed that Psycho Bob had done this. It only made sense. James Hardwick would eventually be arrested for this, but for the meantime, Psycho Bob was like enemy number one. He did this to HMT Trey's mom. So now the ops want to get him like never before, and that takes us to April 26, 2021. It's a regular Monday afternoon in Fort Lauderdale, and Psycho Bob is rolling through in an underbucket space shuttle. As he's making it up State Road 7, a black BMW X6 and a beige minivan pull alongside both sides of him. He's fully tinted up, slapping music, so he's not paying attention to it as he approaches a red light. This is when the van pulls in front of him and the BMW pulls behind him, completely boxing him in. And before Psycho can maneuver his way out, a man hops out of the BMW. He quickly walks up to Psycho's car and completely airs it out. After emptying a clip, he hops back in his car and both cars split away. Psycho is hit up and completely stuck in his car. But thankfully an ambulance arrives in 10 minutes and Psycho Bob survives his injuries. Either way, this was the closest call yet, as Psycho really could have just died right there. Now you'd think that this scary incident would shake him up, like let me calm down, let me get out of the way. Or you'd think that it would even humble you, like wow, I'm not untouchable. But don't forget that this is Psycho Bob, so what do you think he does? After surgery, Psycho Bob goes right to Instagram. He posts on his story, "Don't send me nothing about get well when nothing happened to me." Of course he was lying, but I guess he was saying like, ops, try harder next time. This is when the beef begins to go viral, and it actually helps out all of their careers. The beef actually introduces the world to HMT Trey, who's easily the best rapper in the entire beef. Like if you pause this video and go check out his songs, I won't even be mad at you.
Bro, really hard too. Yeah, HMT, yeah. Over what? Sight, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Trey go hard. Wham go hard too though. Trey over Sight and Wiz, yeah. Over Wham though, that's tough.
Beef actually introduces the world to HMT Trey, who's easily the best rapper in the entire beef. Like if you pause this video and go check out his songs, I won't even be mad at you. Just remember to leave a like and subscribe, that's all I ask. But just like HMT Trey, Psycho Bob and Wiz the Wizard's careers would go up as well, with millions of views and a ton of fans following the beef. Ugh, all those goofies sitting in their mom's basement, you know, what's gonna happen next? I can't relate. But the weirdo fans would be rewarded just 2 months later, as Psycho Bob was shot at again in Dania Beach. HMT were really not playing, as they were coming through and lighting it up at any given chance. In fact, within the next 3 months, HMT would allegedly commit 7 separate shootings. Thankfully though, nobody would pass away in any of these incidents, but then, let's get into it. First, let me explain that Wiz the Wizard is nothing like Psycho Bob, meaning that you're not going to catch him rolling down the interstate not paying attention or loafing in his hood. He's really kind of hard to get. He's super tactical, constantly going from city to city, breaded up. He's just that guy. So realistically, if the ops ever want to catch him, they need somebody on his team to switch sides on him. And unfortunately, in every clique, there will always be snakes. Snakes that you won't see until they bite you, and it's far too late. Why I say this? Well, allegedly, Wiz the Wizard falls victim to a snake in his circle. As we know, the streets of Broward are completely split into 2 sides. That's except for one person, a close childhood friend of both HMT Trey and Wiz the Wizard. This would be a rapper named 26CJ, and why they allowed him to be on both sides of the beat.
Fuck up playing both fucking sides, boy. And this is some serious shit going on. You just need you supposed to fall all the way back if you in the middle, bro. You ain't supposed to be in the middle of shit.
the Wizard. This would be a rapper named 26CJ, and why they allowed him to be on both sides of the beef? Well, A, he has a beef that has nothing to do with their beef, and B, because they're really both close childhood friends with him. So in a sense, they both kind of trust him to not set each other up, like he's gonna respect both of us in our own lanes. Well, keep all that in mind, and that fast forwards us to September 16th, 2021. It's 7 a.m. in Zone 10, and a body is discovered in the middle of the street. Specifically, the body is located just steps from Wiz the Wizard's childhood home. A neighbor dials 911, and when the police arrive, they identify the body as 24-year-old Wisdom Williams. The body is discovered with dozens of bullet wounds, yet police had not received any calls for shots fired within the last 48 hours. Something is not adding up, especially because there's a trail that goes right into an abandoned home. Because of this, police believe that he was lured into the abandoned home, and this is where somebody set him up. Then it appears that he was dragged just steps from his childhood home, possibly to send a message. Somebody set him up, but who could have done this? Well, just the next day, 26CJ would post on Instagram a bunch of cash that's written out to be King Cobra. Now, what does this mean? Well, King Cobra could allude to the fact that he just snaked somebody out. But that aside, why are you smiling and flexing cash the day after your childhood best friend was found dead? It doesn't quite add up. Well, if you think that I'm just making something out of nothing, let's fast forward to later this same night. This is when CJ goes on live with HMT Trey smiling and clowning around.
Obviously, you can't deny that this is suspicious. You go on live with your friend's op who just died. Did I say that right? You get what I'm trying to say.
Slimy. Watch who you call your friends. If you're not already a believer in this theory, well, 2 years later, HMT Trey would be arrested for the murder of Wiz the Wizard. So take this as a lesson learned. If you're in the streets, you truly cannot trust anybody. Even your close childhood friends will slime you out. Man, this beef is wicked. We got moms dead, friends setting up other childhood friends, cars getting boxed in and lit up. This shit is crazy. The waters are so deep that if you're in this beef, there's no stopping what's coming to you. But the craziest part for me to think about is that these dudes have to continue living their day-to-day lives amidst this crazy war. They've got bills, rap careers, families to take care of, or how about just living your own personal lives? Handling all these responsibilities with the constant thought of, will I die today? That's insane. And that fast forwards us a week after the devastating loss of Wiz the Wizard. September 23rd, 2021. It's an average day in the life of Psycho Bob as he heads to the Aventura Mall to do some fancy shopping. Thanks to Kodak and Sniper Gang, Bob goes straight to Neiman Marcus to look for some designer. Well, little does he know his main op, HMT Trey, is at the mall as well, a recipe for disaster. They're now bound to cross paths, and literally anything could go down. And just like that, while Bob is in the shoe department, HMT Trey spots him and begins walking his way. Thankfully, both of them are smart enough to not do anything violent, but they do get into an argument. And this is when Psycho Bob gets extremely disrespectful. In fact, he disses his deceased mom right to his face by saying, "That's why your mama got put up."
Your mama got fucked, nigga. Your mama got put up, yo. Fuck, nigga.
This is the ultimate disrespect, like straight up evil energy. All the targeting parents is like the worst thing ever, but sadly, this would just be the beginning of it. And now that introduces us to HMT Trey's childhood best friend. Let me introduce you to a young man named Jared McCabe, commonly known as EBK Hatch. Just like Trey, Hatch grew up rough in Liberia, with his father in and out of prison and his mom doing whatever she could to provide. And given these tough circumstances and his surrounding environment, he decided to jump off the porch with his HMT homies. And from what the rumors say, as soon as he jumped off the porch, Hatch was really like that, like the first dude out the car. And if you don't believe me, believe the Broward County District Attorney, because they say that he's responsible for multiple murders. And given how active he was, a lot of people on the other side wanted him gone. And when they couldn't get to him, well, you know how this story goes. In late November of 2021, his father would be the target of a violent attack. Some unidentified suspects would track him down and pull up to his address, and sadly, this is where they would lay him down. This was yet another innocent parent targeted by their son's beef. Just truly tragic and heartbreaking, and the worst part about it is that Psycho Bob was the first person to clown it. In fact, he'd post on his story, "I heard he was about 50 when he got hit up with them switches." Trolling someone's innocent, deceased father. I don't even know what to say. Doing this to any man will probably make him crash out, but when you're dealing with EBK Hatch, it's gonna be a whole lot more than that. This was the mistake of all mistakes, dissing HMT Trey's mom and then EBK Hatch's dad? Huh, something vicious was about to come. It would all begin on December 15th, 2021 when HMT Trey would personally shoot up Psycho Bob's house. Absolutely lit it up, but thankfully everyone was okay, including Psycho. However, according to the feds, HMT Trey was not satisfied with attempts. He truly wanted a body, and allegedly just a month later he would successfully catch one. The details are definitely slim, but allegedly on January 22nd he would claim the life of one of Psycho Bob's close friends. This would sadly be a young man from Dania Beach by the name of Marquis Florence. Details on the case are definitely slim, but what we do know is that HMT Trey and Liberia Sig would slide again later that day. They would allegedly catch two more of Psycho Bob's friends named Rosiah Bordeaux and Derek Thomas, and again sadly they would bust all over them, but thankfully both of them would end up surviving. At this point, Liberia is not playing. They're willing to risk it all for the sake of revenge. But despite catching a body in 2 attempts in the same day, Psycho Bob is not fazed at all. In fact, directly after this, he'd get on Instagram Live and instigate even more by saying that he slept with Liberia Sig's mom.
I don't care what a post, you can't top a nigga you a mama, boy. That's real. Now, you wanna beat so go beat your mama.
Sheesh, this is disrespectful, and the craziest part is that it gets even worse. Right after this, Psycho Bob would release a song called Stepdaddy, alluding to the fact that he slept with Liberia Sig's mom and how that now makes him his stepdaddy. He says her good, but her head immaculate. That's the op mama? Yeah, I smashed it. On top of this, he even disses EBK Hatch's dad in the song as well. Man, this dude does not care, even though he knows that the people he's dissing are literal killers. But for the meantime, after all this disrespect, Psycho Bob is able to lay low without consequences as he's running around with Sniper Gang. At this point, he truly feels like he's on top of the world. He's constantly dissing his ops, and then he gets to ride around with Kodak with a whole bunch of money. But when you're putting all this evil energy out into the world, sadly, it'll come back around on you. And that fast forwards us to September 13th, 2023. It's a regular Wednesday evening in Fort Lauderdale, and Psycho Bob's mom is chilling in her driveway. Just chilling with her family.
Blitz right now, boy. What someone said, if I'm doing it, just on a reaction. Hell yeah, boy, I'm about to go to sleep after this. I got what? 8 minutes? Let's get it, boy. I'm trying to tap.
In Fort Lauderdale, and Psycho Bob's mom is chilling in her driveway. Just chilling with her family with nothing to worry about, cause Psycho had moved her to a neighborhood way deep in Fort Lauderdale, far away from the hood in Dania. But somehow after 2 years of living there, the rivals were able to finally find her address. And when I say rivals, I specifically mean HMT Trey, Liberia Sig, Hot Rod, and Rico, the 4 HMT demons. Well, according to the feds, as soon as they obtain her address, they slide out together in a Dodge Charger.
Bro, this shit crazy. It done got too violent to the point to where they just straight up going to their loved ones. It's loved one for loved one. It ain't even, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Rico, the 4 HMT demons. Well, according to the feds, as soon as they obtain her address, they slide out together in a Dodge Charger. At 6 p.m., the 4 steppers make their way from Liberia to Fort Lauderdale with nothing but revenge on their minds. And at 6:08, they arrive to the address where they spot Psycho Bob's mom sitting in her car right out front. So tragically, this is when they hop out and completely unleash.
And now on to a deadly discovery after a woman was found dead inside a van in Fort Lauderdale.
The back windows of the van appeared to be shot out. Local 10 News reporter Ian Margall is live with the latest on this investigation. Ian.
Things in this Fort Lauderdale neighborhood really quiet now, but last night this was a very busy scene, and I've spoken with family members of this victim. They tell me they are absolutely heartbroken today. Let's take you back to that scene last night, right around 6 p.m. Fort Lauderdale police say they responded to the home on Northwest 30th Way and 21st Street, where we're standing right now. They found a woman shot in the front seat of a van right in the driveway here. The woman was pronounced dead on the scene, and the detectives began their investigation, working the area for any evidence of what may have happened here or why this woman was targeted. Now, we have been able to confirm through family and neighbors, this woman was named Dorothy Smart. She went by Dee Dee. Neighbors say she was a lovely person, an absolutely great person to be around. We have also confirmed she is the mother of South Florida rapper Psycho Bob. We're trying to get more information about exactly what happened here. We have been able to confirm no arrests have been made.
This was the ultimate tragedy for Psycho. I mean, damn, after already surviving one attempt, they slid on his mom again?
That's crazy.
But when you keep trolling other people's parents who were deceased, it's almost like, what do you expect to happen back to you? What do they say? It ain't fun.
When said that's why your mama got put up though. Dog, that's crazy. And now look, bro. You can't be saying no shit like that.
Again? But when you keep trolling other people's parents who were deceased, it's almost like, what do you expect to happen back to you? What do they say? It ain't fun when the rabbit got the gun, or you get a taste of your own medicine. And just like he did to them, they would do right back to him, because as soon as the news broke, they began trolling online. Specifically, Hatch would hit him right back with the same quote that he used when his father passed away. Honestly, this is the worst beef I've ever seen. Like, where can we even go from here? The pure amount of evil and disrespect I've truly never seen before, and I don't even understand how it could get worse. We've got 2 moms dead, a dad dead, and a whole bunch of young men gone way too soon. Literally, there's so many that I could make 5 separate videos on this. I kid you not. And the craziest part is that over the next year, Liberia was not done with their mission. In fact, they were just getting started. First, Dania's Anwan Dobard, also known as Sauce, well, he would lose his life to HMT's Kavaris Johnson. Well, all this is allegedly, because the case hasn't been convicted yet. Then directly after, Kavaris would allegedly catch another body, a man named Ronaldo Donar. Then a man from Zone 10 named Wayne Smith, also known as Marlo Top, well, he would fall victim to Liberia Sig. Then just days later, his friend named Terrence Farrington would lose his life as well. Then after this, tragically, a football player who happened to be from Zone 10, well, he would lose his life as well.
Miramar police posting photos of 17-year-old Johnny Henderson to social media, hoping someone, somewhere, knows something.
It appears. Fried, bro. Oh my God. I'm fried. Fucked up.
Miramar police posting photos of 17-year-old Johnny Henderson to social media, hoping someone, somewhere, knows something.
It appears that bullets came in from a variety of angles.
The driver's side window of this white Sonata shot multiple times. Police say Johnny was behind the wheel.
Another young life lost in Broward, all due to a silly beef. Well, after Liberia would go on this enormous tear of violence, it would finally all catch up to them.
Developing at noon, a crime crackdown involving several law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, they arrested 8 suspected gang members wanted for murders and multiple shootings. Local 10's Sanella Sabovic is live with the details of this months-long investigation. Sanella.
That's right, ladies. Following this months-long investigation, the Broward Sheriff's Office making a big bust, arresting 8 gang members they say are violent. I want to get you straight to their mugshots. This has been a multi-agency effort. Again, all 8 gang members have been indicted on 33 counts that include charges of murder, attempted murder, and racketeering. The defendants...
I might be high, but it sounded like she was rapping. Hold on. Sounded like she was just on beat talking. Hold up.
They say are violent. I want to get you straight to their mugshots. This has been a multi-agency effort. Again, all 8 gang members have been indicted on 33 counts that include charges of murder, attempted murder, and racketeering. The defendants are Slade Brown, Kavaris Johnson, Gerard Charles, Vondarius Davis, 16-year-old Raja Roll, Tyreek Jackson, Jared McCabe, and Trayvon Key.
Hey, hold on, she's sliding.
Began after one of the suspects, Sigmund Brown's fingerprint was recovered from a car connected to a homicide that happened back in January at Best Buy in Plantation. And from there, detectives were able to connect the 8 defendants to the 8 homicides that occurred in different cities in Broward County. Detectives also recovered guns. We have a photograph of that. BSO sent that to us. And some of those defendants did end up making a court appearance today to be arraigned on all of those violent charges. 5 showed up, 2 were reset for Friday due to timing reasons, and 1 suspect, Bondarius Davis, refused to appear. Again, this was nearly a year-long operation. These gang members, authorities say, are not only connected to 8 murders, but more than a dozen attempted murders.
How they got arrested for all this is kind of an interesting story. Basically, Hot Rod got arrested first for an isolated incident, and then
He said, dog, you fried. I'm telling you, bro. See, we live now, so it ain't like, yeah. Y'all seen this shit live. I be high as a bitch, dog. Be trying to get through these long ass videos. But then again, I be doing them late. And, you know, I go to sleep about 10, 11 o'clock, but I'm about ready to tap. Then I'm smoking on top of that. But I'm fried, boy. I be fried as hell watching your ass laughing. That's how I be while I be watching that bit back, bro. I be watching that shit. I be geek. I be like, what the fuck I be doing? Bro. Dog. This be about done now though.
More than a dozen.
I'm so fried, bro. I didn't even finish the whole split, bro. I still got I'm more than half. I'm dog. And then I've been chilling on smoking too. What I do, I usually wait till like the end of the day and smoke. So it's like shit. By that point, I smoke, but I'm zooted, boy.
They are not only connected to 8 murders, but more than a dozen.
He's on watching Fry, watch you at the word.
How they got arrested for all this is kind of an interesting story. Basically, Hot Rod got arrested first for an isolated incident, and then they went through his...
I'm gonna try, since we doing live, cause I do record then every day, so I'm gonna just try to go live about every day around the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna just do it like that. Try to get shit in, so yeah.
Story. Basically, Hot Rod got arrested first for an isolated incident, and then they went through his phone. And that's where police discovered the HMT iMessage group chat where they talked about everything they had done since the very beginning. I'm talking about confession.
Whoa. That's how they got caught up? Whoa.
Year-long operation. These gang members, authorities say, are not only connected to 8 murders, but more than a dozen attempted murders.
How they got arrested for all this is kind of an interesting story. Basically, Hot Rod got arrested first for an isolated incident, and then they went through his phone. And that's where police discovered the HMT iMessage group chat where they talked about everything they had done since the very beginning. I'm talking about confessions to murders, locations dropped, clowning ops, everything. So now they're all pretty much guaranteed to do life in prison. Now for them, this obviously sucks, but for Psycho side and the Zone 10 side,
No, this nigga retarded.
Everything. So now they're all pretty much guaranteed to do life in prison. Now for them, this obviously sucks, but for Psycho side and the Zone 10 side, this is amazing. No more ops to hide from or worry about, which also means no more ops to go hunt. However, there was one last person free who they were desperate to get revenge on. That takes us back to the loss of Wiz the Wizard and how there was a man who people...
Hold on. Let me pause this. Because you got your boy fucked up talking about tolerance low. Hey, cuz, tolerance not low. This shit gas, my boy. This shit gas. I told you, I done went the whole day sober. Not really, because I smoke then every day, so it's like, but for the most part, sober. I can't get high as a bitch end of the day. I can't get zooted. What you mean? And then whoever said they went to school with 2 on, damn, that's crazy.
No more ops to go hunt. However, there was one last person free who they were desperate to get revenge on. That takes us back to the loss of Wiz the Wizard and how there was a man who people think set him up. This would of course be he and HMT Trey's mutual friend named 26CJ, the one who after Wiz the Wizard's loss would get online and start clowning with HMT John. That takes us back to the loss of Wiz the Wizard and how there was a man who people think set him up. This would of course be he and HMT Trey's mutual friend named 26CJ, the one who after Wiz the Wizard's loss would get online and start clowning with HMT Trey. Well, after the years passed, the Zone 10 and Nightmare side did not forget what happened. And that takes us to March 30th, 2024. It's 6 in the morning in a quiet neighborhood in Pompano Beach. This is when the neighborhood hears a flurry of bullets. Over 50 shots heard in the distance, so obviously neighbors call 911 and police begin searching around for victims. As the sun rises and the streets brighten, they notice some smoke in the distance, so they drive towards it and they end up in a back alley, and this is when they see a car completely lit on fire. Boom! That's when a massive explosion takes place. This is when the fire department arrives, puts out the fire, and police began investigating the scene. They would discover a body, mark it as a homicide, and were waiting to see who it was. Then days later, it would be identified as 24-year-old Javion Ross, also known as 26CJ. Sadly, to this day, nobody has been arrested for this. Man, this beef was different. Now, honestly, I have no idea if...
I wonder how they did it. I think I heard they shot him and then set on fire. Now, if they would have set that bitch on fire alive, ooh, that'd have been some savage ass shit, boy.
Man, this beef was different. Now, honestly, I have no idea if the beef is still going on or it ended. I really have no idea. Because pretty much one side is in jail and the other side is kind of all gone. And now basically we're just left with Psycho Bob. Pretty much the lone survivor. How he even made it this far through this wicked beef is beyond me. Like, everyone else fell victim, but you. So I guess let's just hope that the beef ended here and that everything can be peaceful in Broward. And I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something from it, because when you join this type of life, there's no good outcomes. Well, if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. Peace!
Dave's hot chicken bites. If I don't lick my fingers, it ain't good.
Time is it? Hell yeah. Shit, y'all let me know. Some more. Let's see. Should react to the baby song. The baby. I ain't heard the baby in a second. Alright, man. I'm about to go ahead and end this. Y'all boys be safe.